From the keyboard to the boardroom, this is the Business of Esports after show live stream. I'm Paul Dawalibi. I'm joined today by my friend and co-host William Collis and Lindsay Poss. For those of you who are new to the live stream, and a lot of you I know here are not new to the live stream, what we do here is we cover all the stuff that didn't make it into the podcast. It's all the esports topics, news of the week that are just as important, but didn't make it into the main show. We still analyze it. We still look at all of it through a business and C-suite lens. We still discussed it in all the same way, but it just didn't make it into the podcast. The beauty of the live show is we can do it with you guys, our regular listeners, our regular viewers. We can interact. We can have fun. So it's just so much better. I mean, you guys can't deny that, can you?
I have no way of denying that whatsoever. And not only that, I like to encourage people just as we're getting started. I know we're a couple minutes behind the 8 ball today, but don't let that. Let me just say, first of all, one, it's entirely my fault, as always. Two, never think we're not going to show up, because we always do. And then I just want to say, for people who are now tuning in the chat and everything, like, give us a shout out. I just want to hear who's here. And in particular, I love it when new people say hello. So if this is your first time, like, listening in to BOE, and like, or you're a repeated listener, you've never commented, like, give us a shout out, because it's really like, Paul and I do this not just to hear ourselves talk, because we can do that anytime. I can pick up the phone and call him, but we love to talk and answer questions from people. So give us a shout out and tell us you're here, and we'll get pumped, you know?
I mean, let's be honest. We do it because this is the only time we get to hang out with Lindsay all week, right?
That's exactly right.
And
yeah.
that's also why most of our viewers are here. This is why most of the viewers are here too. I mean, we're being honest.
My favorite thing about Lindsay right now in our podcast is how there's a gradual evolution of her moving in behind us every week. Like, each time the space is a little, like, there's like another chair somewhere, and it's like, oh, she's definitely unpacked something.
Oh no, that's a ton of AV equipment that's getting sold on eBay. So it will be spreading even more.
Maybe you should sell it to me so I can fix my audio.
I have
maybe we do it as a giveaway.
That's right. Yeah.
Old stuff.
I could buy
Lindsay's like $3,000 worth of AV equipment.
Right? Yeah, truly.
Come on, guys.
You know, a switchboard that I don't know how to use.
Jillian says, "Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, Jillian, how's it going? You're actually the giveaways shipped out today, so you guys are going to be happy. Hopefully, it gets there before the end of the week, but both got shipped out today. Actually, Adam says, "Hey, all. Hey, Adam. Actually, Adam. There you go. I don't think I've seen Adam here before.
Oh my God." That's actually, I agree. Like, I know all the names. That's like a great moment. We actually got somebody, first time viewer, to shout out. That's so amazing. Guys, do not be shy.
I know 80% are lurking, right? Because I know.
Yeah, exactly. We shouldn't say a first time listener. We should say a lurker. So guys, don't be shy. I promise it's super easy to type. So I think another person just popped for us, but it's super easy just to chat something. And I swear we're really, really nice. And the benefit of doing this live is that we can respond. So I love it. Yeah. I mean, you guys are making me so excited.
If we're being honest, William and Lindsay are really, really nice. I mean,
yeah, but people like you for other reasons.
No, Paul's nice too. He's very nice.
Whoops, I didn't mean to hint at that, but let's actually. Coach Andrew says, I'm working through the big book of esports still. Sorry, William. We've talked before about the book on a call. Well, there you go, William.
Wow. That's awesome. Congrats, Coach Andrew.
I thought by now everyone has bought the book. Everyone has read the book. Like, this was just my assumption. But clearly not, right, William?
No,
you still want me to push the book because you think some people still haven't bought it.
Yeah, because right now, Paul, the thing that keeps it up in the Amazon sales rankings is I buy 100 copies myself every week, and I want to stop doing that. You know, like that's starting to drain the old bank account showing up. And
college fund.
Yeah, placing my regular Monday morning $2,000 worth of books order.
Damani, hey guys, what's up? Long time no talk. Damani, this is a blast from the past. How's it going? Good to see
you. Hi,
you.
Damani, man. You also have an amazing last name, if it is in fact best as your last name.
It is his last name, and it suits him very well because he is awesome. Damani used to work for me long time ago. A very long time ago.
That's amazing.
Feels like a lifetime ago. Guys, we want to start with something fun. Can we start with Pokimane? Okay. I mean, Pokimane is the number one clickbait, by the way, on our podcast. Every episode we've had discussing Pokimane for some reason just gets great, incredible numbers.
We should have saved this for the podcast. That is what you're saying, Paul.
It's kind of true. Maybe I should have, but it's kind of a fun story, right? It's a little bit less serious, but it's worth talking about. So I'm going to pull it up here, and this is from Daily Esports, and the headline is Pokimane sets maximum donation to $5. The article goes on to talk about how basically she's teamed up with Streamlabs. I don't know why she needed to team up because anyone can just set it to $5, but she's teamed up with Streamlabs to set her donation maximum to $5. She says that she's always been vocal about not wanting her fans to spend hundreds or thousands of dollars. And she's expressed that they don't need donations because she has money from other sources, right? Sponsorship, subscriptions, things like that, right? So she set her donation maximum to $5. Is this not kind of a dumb move, right? Like you're a streamer. Wouldn't you want to maximize the amount of dollars you bring in from your audience?
Well, I'd like to point out, Paul, we have yet to set a donations cap on the Business of Esports, right?
There is a donation cap, by the way.
Oh, really? What is it?
Yeah, I mean, after like $1 million, it's tricky, right? Then you got it's hard to hide. You know, you don't want to pay taxes on that money.
Too many shells to keep track of as it is.
Yeah. Lindsay, sorry we haven't told you about all these $1 million deals. But
I'm still stuck in my attic selling AV equipment.
We got so many of them, Lindsay, that we had to stop. We put a stop to it, William and I. We said we can only buy so many Lamborghinis. Like at some point, it's just like enough is enough, right? Please, guys, stop sending all your money.
No, but this is interesting. Actually, this article I think has a bit more meat on it than it looks like. For two reasons. One is it just shows how much streamers earn from other sources, right? Like, I mean, this is somebody who is earning so much money from other sources, they're literally turning down money from a source because the marginal value or the marginal utility of one more dollar to them has become very, very low, right? But the bigger piece of that is, and I think people miss this a little bit, is like, this goes to the cost of streaming, and I think the challenge of being in such an interactive format with your fans. Because, you know, what Pokimane says is she feels bad when people donate to her. Like, and what's really interesting, you know, and there's different reasons. Either she's worried fans are giving more than they can afford. I think this incident was actually triggered by a fan who donated more than they could afford. Or, you know, and in general, like, you know, she's talks about being required to react a certain way. Like if somebody gives her a big donation, she has to give like a big performative, like, oh my God, it's so incredible. And she worries like, is it good enough for the fan? Are they happy? Did they get their monies? You know, and so I think what's really interesting is I think it is rational on her part. It's not just like she's being a nice person and saying like, doesn't want to, it generally, there is a cost to her receiving those large donations versus in terms of guilt and in terms of her having to interrupt her stream and do other things. And she has made a decision that it's just not worth it for that anymore. And I think that's interesting. And like I said, it speaks to, I think, you know, some of the stresses that are incurred as a premium streamer. Like it looks glamorous. And to be honest with you, I think parts of it are, but I think parts of it, there is a psychological baggage being in the public eye so much.
I have a great counterpoint to William, but I'm curious, Lindsay, what you think first.
I do hear what you're saying. And I think when you all had Reynad on, he talked about that a lot and how difficult it could be at times to stream, but I would never do this. And I don't know that I necessarily understand why she is. If she is concerned about this performative thing, then I don't necessarily know why she would be in streaming in the first place, because streaming is a performance. Yeah. And the second thing is, it's nice that she wants viewers to keep her money, but if I were her, I would rather take that money and redistribute it to things I felt good about if I felt bad about taking the money. It appears to be very...
Also a good point.
It appears to be a very much an imposter syndrome type thing. Like, oh, I haven't earned this. And it's like, well, you have. People like you and they want to pay you because they like you. And it's up to them to decide how much they want to pay you.
But this is my counterpoint to William, right? Like if someone right now
Lindsay,
dropped $1 million, truly, and we joked about it, but if someone right now dropped $1 million donation, right, to the Business of Esports, I would not feel bad. Like, truly, I would feel like, look, I come here every week. I do all these videos in the live stream and the pod. I'm adding value, right? If people feel like it's worth $1 million to them, what I deliver every week, I don't feel bad about it because I'm confident in the value we deliver here, right? Maybe I think Lindsay's imposter syndrome is a bit correct, where it's like maybe she just lacks confidence in the value she's delivering.
Yeah, I mean, it could be a little. I think the imposter syndrome point is right on the nose. Actually, I hadn't thought about it that way. I'd also say, about the whole thing too. If you look at how she's worded it, there's some comment in the chat that's saying Pokemon is a marketing and business genius. Like, I don't know if we want to put that up, but like, if you look at how she's worded it, she's very specifically instructing her fans with like to do other things in lieu of donating. She's like, engage with my sponsored content, right? Like, so to some extent, I do wonder if this isn't substitutive on her part, right? This, like if this helps her drive, like get more impressions, gives people who are her most vocal supporters another way to support by diving in and engage. Like, it could be true. Like, she's not just saying don't do it. She's directing people another way that ultimately results to support for her. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I come down, like, it's easy to be critical of things like this. I come down, I think, look, if she's making all the money, it's her decision. It's a free market both ways. It's up for people to decide how much they donate. It's equally up to the streamer to decide if they want to set a cap. That's why there's a cap in Streamlabs. I come down to this is just a free market working. This individual has decided that they're in an unusual situation where they have so much money, the marginal utility of $1 more for whatever reason is not worth the psychological stresses that are coming with that dollar. And they've made the market clear at a certain price. Like, it's economics the other way too,
It makes me a little sad, though, to hear that she also is working unnecessarily hard for her sponsorships that, again, she earned by creating the content she created and having sponsors that were interested in supporting that content that she created.
I know.
It's not like this is a bad thing for her to do, but it does. I mean, it makes me sad because there's plenty of people out there who are earning more than her and doing maybe less than her, maybe the same amount as her, whatever, who are not taking such a hit to themselves personally to try to continue doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Let me read these two comments, and then I have a question for you guys. So Coach Answer says, Pokemon's a marketing and business genius. I think William hit it on the head. Yeah, I mean, it's one view. I don't know if I share it. Alex says, hi, everyone. Been forever, it seems. Glad to catch you all again. Working on esports productions myself these days, so super busy and harder to catch the live show. So glad to be here today. It's so good to have you, Alex. Welcome back. Here's a question for you guys. Do you think this gets rolled back? In other words, do you think 6 months from now, Pokemon says, you know what, I'm removing the cap? Well, both of you be prophets for a second here.
It's a pretty hard thing to go back on, like, because like when you go back on this, it something's wrong. You need the money. I mean, there's no other way. Like, the answer is like there's no other explanation for it. If the cap gets pulled back, it's because she needs to have that income stream again. Unless
you think this is a bit of a marketing stunt to draw attention,
it might be
to her sponsors or some sponsor campaign, brand sponsor campaign that she's doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like maybe this is. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm just curious if either of you think this gets rolled back at some point.
I wouldn't be surprised if instead of it getting rolled back, if Streamlabs came up with an alternative mechanism to handle high value donations, right? Like, the equivalent of the appearance fee or the private recorded message that you got on what's that website that everyone's using
Cameo.
right now?
Oh, my bad.
Cameo. Yeah. Yeah. Like
Cameo, not OnlyFans.
Yeah.
OnlyFans is the same options though. You can pay for more.
But what it feels like to me is like the high-end market is clearing awkwardly. Because it is true that like the person who donates $1,000 and the person who donates $1 basically gets the same stream pop-up notification. You know what I mean? Like, so I suspect the way this gets lifted is there become better options for high-value donors, right?
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, Lindsay, do you think it gets rolled back, or you think William's kind of view that they introduce new options?
I see that as more likely. If it does get rolled back, I would hope it would be in more than 6 months. I would hope that this lasts her a little bit longer than that, in terms of what she gains from doing it. But I would hope that maybe William's option is more there. And Raynaud talked about this, but there is a lot of psychological harm done to streamers. And if something like limiting donations can somehow draw attention to that, or enact change or something like that, that would be great. I don't know if that's necessarily a connection that I see, but if they choose to handle high value donations differently, I would hope that it would at least consider the issues that streamers face with them.
I just think maybe she's getting questionable business advice. And here's the point I want to make. I think people overestimate the potential career length of a streamer and how long they stay relevant and like highly profitable. And I'm not saying Pokemon's flash in the pan, here today, gone tomorrow, but I also don't think she's going to be pulling in what she's pulling in for the next 40 years, right? Like, I think there is a limit to her celebrity. Eventually the next Pokemon comes up, right? And Pokemon sort of fades slowly into obscurity, right? This is the nature of celebrity everywhere, not just in gaming or esports, right? You have a shelf life.
Yeah.
And when you have a shelf life, in my mind, the business goal has to be maximizing the revenue while you're hot.
Yeah.
Right? Like, not,
yeah.
When you're at your peak, this is when you cash in. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that makes this story smell a little bit bad to me is, yes, it is a good play to say, oh, I care about the people watching, I care about my fans, and I don't want everyone to stress over donating me, blah, blah, blah. If I were her, I would have gone the other direction and said, thank you so much to the people that are watching. I'm going to set up a $100,000 college fund with all of the big dollar donations that you can afford to give me. And you would have had the same idea of people maybe giving less or people giving more or whatever. This feels more like a guilt thing, like I don't deserve these, so I'm going to cap it and try to work on my sponsorships. And that makes me sad. There was a lot of different directions she could have gone and still taken advantage of those high value donations while bringing in that sort of ethical side. And it didn't go there. And that's sad.
I think it's a great idea. You should be managing Pokemon, Lindsay.
If she wants me to, I am free.
Chris says Gen Z values the ethical play more than previous generations. Yeah, that's probably true. There's maybe like a better ethical play here is the kind, maybe like Lindsay's point. I think.
This strikes me more as a guilt play than an ethical one, which makes me sad. She's talented.
Martin says, oh, the time zones changed. Thought I'd miss the show. You do not miss the show, Martin. You are perfectly on time. Cam says, little late. Hello, everyone. Why is William talking about OnlyFans?
That was my fault, maybe.
For the record, it was Lindsay talking about OnlyFans. Although I don't think she has one. So sorry to all of you.
But I have my dream business is 2. One is an OnlyFans where I tell really bad jokes and keep all my clothes on that people would pay for and just be so disappointed. It would be great. The second one is Only Jams, where I send you either a jam or a CD that has only jams on it.
Stop giving away all of our best business ideas, please. Okay.
Well, you don't have to have soak. I gotta start something on my own.
Wait. You have only jams, and I thought that would
2 customers who pay $0 because they're both my friends that I just promised to start with.
But I feel like that should literally be like you get a jar of preserves. Yeah. It's like marmalade.
Yeah, that's
like
what you said.
I thought you said music, like you were sending them songs.
It's one or the other. You either get music or
a pot of jam or a CD filled with jam.
Yeah. Oh.
Only jam.
You guys, this is just when these businesses that are puns are just gold mines. I don't know why we wouldn't stop this right now and dive in there. Okay. Chris says,
don't overlook the value she's pulling from offline TV either. She has several revenue streams. Is she still doing any offline TV stuff, Chris? I don't know. Maybe. I just don't know. Coach Anter says absolutely her YouTube is her YouTube is
YouTube's
probably where she's making a lot of her money. Didn't she have someone give her a donation that couldn't afford rent or something? Yeah, I think William mentioned that this is what sort of precipitated this whole thing. But it's just like you can't we don't stop selling alcohol because there are alcoholics in the world, right? I mean, like, just if
but you do cut off people at the bar who are drinking too much. You know what I mean? Like, again,
that can be done on a one-off basis.
Every day.
Well,
she cut off the whole bar.
But that's what I mean is like, it feels like the tools just need to get better here. Like, maybe it should be you can just exclude someone from donate. You can set a cap by streamer ID. You know what I mean? Like, but
Greg says if she feels she's getting too much, donate to a charity to bring attention to a worthy cause. With her PR, she could bring a lot of attention to that. I mean, Greg, you and Lindsay are totally on the same page, because I think that was probably the better way to do it. Coach Andrew says it's not about her not thinking she deserves it. It's those people who donate a lot shouldn't be. Yeah. Maybe you cut those people off though, right?
Yeah.
Offline TV is her collab YouTube channel. Okay, Chris, I didn't know that. So yeah, this is, my guess is her biggest revenue stream, probably more than even the sponsors.
Yeah, the YouTube stuff's got to be huge, the start video.
Because I don't know what she has in terms of a following on YouTube, but I'm guessing 10 million plus, right? Probably.
Give or take, it's pretty
big
huge
number.
Yeah.
Let's move on from Pokimane though. Let's I think we covered that one enough. Pokimane getting too much money. Let's talk about Activision Blizzard. I know we talk about them a lot, but there were two stories this week, guys, and I want to put them back to back. So let me just show you both of them, and we can discuss sort of the overall corporate strategy right now. And by the way, their earnings report was strong, right? Like they had big numbers that came out. I don't know, when was it? A couple weeks ago now, maybe something like that. What? And so it's interesting that there's now these two articles within the last week talking about corporate strategy. So the first article here is fansided.com, and the headline is Activision's riding the gaming nostalgia wave and it's working. The subheadline says Activision is bringing some revived games that are irresistible and we don't mind one bit. Read more about their progress and what's to come this year. And so what they talk about is Crash Bandicoot's reboot, Call of Duty, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, among others. But these are the three they refer to in terms of nostalgia. Now, next to that, there was an article here from GamesRadar.com, and this one said, Activision Blizzard wants to significantly expand into mobile gaming. And primarily what they're referring to here is the success of Call of Duty Mobile with 300 million or over 300 million downloads. And also talking about their ownership of King, which makes Candy Crush. So they also mentioned at the end of the article that supposedly there's plans to bring Warzone, which is the Call of Duty Battle Royale, to mobile. So I mean, I'm curious, guys. We see two things here. One saying the company's pivoting towards nostalgia. One saying the company is expanding its focus on mobile, right? Mm-hmm. Is this not kind of at least what I've been talking about for a long time now, where it's like, no, here's what I hear when I see these two stories. No new original IP, right? And more focus on mobile revenue, or at least more reliance on mobile revenue, probably because they don't have confidence in everything else. What do you guys hear when you see these two stories back to back? I know, William, you're an Activision Blizzard apologist. So what do you I'm just teasing you. What do you hear?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm more critical.
I can't argue with the results, right? By the way, again, record revenues, record profitability. Like, the business is doing very well.
Yeah, business is crushing it. I'm a little more critical of the nostalgia stuff because, like, I don't see the direct revenue attachment to Crash Bandicoot and THPS, right? I really doubt those are performing at the level of World of Warcraft, right? Like, I just got to be honest with you. Also, I take an issue because the really successful properties today are the live service properties. Crash Bandicoot and THPS, neither of which are. And like, yes, I absolutely love those games. Like, I am nostalgic. THPS all the way, baby. You know, let me listen to Superman by Goldfinger while I go skate Seattle. Like, I'm all there. But the reality is these types of revenues are one-shot revenues, right? You can do them at most every X years. And it's not like they've innovated this, like THPS is now a service platform with downloadable levels every week, right? Like, it's basically like, hey, we have some vaulted brands, we can get a one-shot revenue source, let's do it. It's good business, they should do it, but it's difficult to credit that as a sustainable revenue driver for them going forward. It's more like a booster shot to get through a tough quarter. So I don't love that stuff, you know, honestly. It's not that I don't love them doing it, it's I don't love it being called out as, you know, like the pillar of a strategy, because it's more like a portfolio optimization thing that you do. It's not going to chart the path of the business forward, right? In the same way that like an Overwatch 2 would, right?
Why do you like it now, though, William? Meaning, like, why would they do? Sorry, my question is, why would they do this now? Because they don't really need the shot in the arm now, right? Like, why unvault these things now when things are going well across the board for the most part?
It could be as simple as trademark camping sometimes, like in needing to have an active property in the space. It can be as simple as things line up. Like, you know, my understanding is the Crash developer wanted to develop Crash, right? So,
and
you know,
they PS5 too.
Yeah. So they said, sure, go, and if you really want to do it, go and do it. You know, like a real strategy would be, a real vaulted brand strategy would be if they announced that for the next 5 years, there would be 4 major releases, one every quarter from the Activision Blizzard Classic Vault, right? You know, starting with Road Rash, I don't know if it's Activision Blizzard, but whatever. But like, this is more just like a smorgasbord. This is more like, hey, these are some games. It's pretty easy to remake them. Let's do it. You know, what's Neversoft doing? They're not exactly like, you know, it's not exactly like they're like blowing it up right now. So this feels to me like low-hanging fruit in the reactivation front. But again, I'm not criticizing it. Like, it's good business, but I don't like it being called out as their strategy. It's a sensible move, but this isn't like, don't buy Activision stock on the basis of a THPS re-release, because that's not going to carry us to the day. I do like
free money is what you're saying.
Exactly.
You can't abuse it. You can't abuse it over and over again or on the regular.
And good businesses should pick up free money, right? Like, I'm not criticizing this. I don't think this is a shameless cash in. I think these are well-made remakes. And in the case of Crash, a welcome renovation of the formula, right? Like, it's not that they're lazily done, which is the common criticism of remakes. But it is that remakes themselves, or at least 2 remakes in isolation, are not a strategy, right? But the mobile piece is super interesting to me, because we've seen a number of large AAA game developers over the years become totally seduced by mobile. Probably the biggest example is Konami, right? Like, I always think of Konami as like Metal Gear, like one of the greatest AAA titles of every PlayStation console generation. And part of why they broke up with Hideo was they just wanted to over-resource there, because Konami has a very active mobile games division that performs very, very well. And so, you know, I think it's interesting to see a publisher having a lot of success in mobile, because however you criticize it, Call of Duty Mobile is on fire. Like, it's one of the big reasons why the Call of Duty brand is so massively in the zeitgeist. And its engagement is significantly beyond the League engagement, which is itself impressive right now. Right. But it's also a bit, right, concerning, because like, this is not like Activision Blizzard wants to release Diablos 4, 5, and 6 back to back, right? Like, this is talking about resourcing up an area of games that I think, regardless of the business sense, you and I, Paul, don't love as much. You know what I mean? And here's
the silver lining, William. Let me give you the silver. I'm gonna take the other side for once here.
Yep.
Here's the silver. I know, shocking. Here's the silver lining. There's no more Hideos at Blizzard to leave. So it's not like right. So even if they do make this sort of strategy shift, there's no one left. There's no superstars left who you're going to lose as a consequence of the shift to mobile.
You're such a generous person.
Is that not a silver lining?
So your argument, as I'm understanding that, is like, we can do this now because we got rid of all of the people who would have cared.
Oh no.
It's kind of a genius theory, don't you think? He's speechless. He's so overwhelmed.
I mean, it's just like
genius.
It's such a bad faith argument. Like, but to be fair, it is super genius if you want to pivot to a mobile studio and you have a bunch of high class, talent that isn't going to be behind it. You just force them to leave. Yeah, you don't want to pay those retirement packages. You're like, well, maybe I will cancel your unannounced RTS project and see what happens. Yeah.
But from a pure business standpoint, I actually think this is the right direction for Activision Blizzard.
I do
in the
too.
Sense that, like, I think we have to all accept that old Activision Blizzard is dead, right? And old Blizzard is never coming back, right? We're just that era is long gone. And from a pure business standpoint, most of their success these days has come from mobile. I mean, Call of Duty is a way bigger hit on mobile than it is on anything else. So,
yeah,
I like you, as everyone who watches this show regularly knows, I like the idea of embracing who you are, right? And this is kind of who they have become.
Yeah,
for better or for worse.
And not only that, like, it's good thinking on their part. Like, businesses change over time, rightly or wrongly, for reasons both in and outside of your control. And if I'm managing that portfolio and I'm choosing between the Call of Duty mobile numbers are insane. It's like 300
million.
Ridiculous. Yeah. I'm looking at 300 million Call of Duty mobile. Wow. That's like a significant percentage of the world's population playing this game, right? Like, that's like literally every single person in America playing it. Okay, that's great. Or I'm looking at lackluster reception to Overwatch, StarCraft with probably microscopic tailing revenues versus what Candy Crush is doing, right? Like, it's a mature decision to say, you know what, like, yeah, we're still going to do some big games, but this is where we're succeeding right now. And this is where our brands are having the most value and the most resonance. Let's honor the brands and the consumer. And that is credit to Bobby Kotick. Like, that's the right move as a CEO of a business,
But William, this is where I'm going to be vicious. If they're going to pivot to this strategy, they better own it, right? I better see Overwatch 2 being a mobile only title.
I agree with.
You're going to be a mobile company, own it. Don't be half pregnant.
I want the tweet Diablo 4 equals immortal right now. Like, I want it up, and then I want the meme video, like, don't you all have phones? 2020, like, that's true. Yeah. And I want all the leagues on mobile, Call of Duty mobile, Overwatch mobile, right?
Look, Martin says mature decision. Oh man, it's a nightmare to wake up and see all publishers. Martin, I think, it's the 12 steps, right? We've all gone through the 12 steps with Blizzard, and I don't know what step is acceptance, but I'm at acceptance.
I'm at acceptance.
No longer
too.
The Blizzard of old, right? We've gone through denial, we've gone through anger, we've gone through whatever all the steps are. Acceptance is truly all that's left at this point.
No, this is good. I like the mobile market because there is some dominant players, but it's not like in big tech where obviously you have the big five and there's really nobody else. Like, there's so much room here to make money. And the thing about mobile is you don't have to have eyeballs on screens in the same way you have to have them with classic gaming. Like I said, I watch Netflix and play a mobile game all the time. So it's kind of like there's a lot more time, there's a lot more consumer time available, and there's a lot less clear domination from a few companies available. And for Activision to have as strong a brands as it has, to move those to mobile in a space where the time to play them really opens up seems like a good move to me. And I wouldn't be surprised to see more of the big developers do this because there's not the same time constraints on the consumer as there is with other, with PC or console titles.
I mean, the shelf life of mobile games is also shorter, right? That's just the reality.
Yeah, there's tons available. Nobody's really dominated it. It's
really the thing
fantastic.
that worries me about mobile, to be honest with you guys, is like, I wonder if the move is thought through in the sense the dynamics of the mobile market are very different, right? Like, we've just seen a large game publisher in Epic misunderstand the power dynamics in the mobile space, right? I'm not saying Activision will do that, but they are trading elements of a difficult business model for elements of another, which is now they're going to be now they're not the biggest fish in the room, right? Like, if I'm downloading Activision Blizzard, it's the Battle.net launcher or bust, right? Now they're gate kept by, Apple and Google, right? And I wonder if they'll like that world the more they lean into it. I suspect it'll be a trade-off they're fine with given the other returns, but it is interesting that that there are real strategic implications for how you handle this, and game publishers don't have the best record for handling the power of the platforms.
I mean, mobile solves all their esports problems too, basically, right?
Yeah.
You move Call of Duty League to mobile, you move Overwatch League to mobile, assuming Overwatch 2 is going to be mobile only, right? You don't need home stands. You don't need city-based teams. Everyone plays from their bathroom, right, on the phone.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing for cost reduction. Yeah. Everyone's on their Motorola. There's no toxicity because people can't type fast enough.
Well, yeah.
The next game is loaded before you can.
Yeah, you can't. It's too late. You're like, get out of lane, you knew. Oh.
Chris says mobile's here to stay. Backbone 1 will convert the hardcore. Chris, what's Backbone 1? I don't know if you guys know.
I know what Backbone 1 is. It's a new third-party. It's like a controller for phones. The one that what's his face? Nadeshot got paid to shill. It's kind of dope, actually. It basically turns your phone into a Switch. I
feel like these things have been around a long time.
You'd
right?
be
these things you could strap a phone into and have controllers.
But it's not new. But two things. One is, this is part of the new generation that puts the phone in the middle of the controller, right? As opposed to a lot of the other ones were like plug in, right? Like, there has been a move since Switch in the last 2 or 3 years that actually but the bigger thing is, and I haven't used a Backbone 1, but I know people who have, controllers just feel right or don't. I'll be honest, try playing on a, what's the bad controller that I hated? The Steam controller. What was it called? Do you remember?
Not the Shield,
or buy a cheap third-party controller. Buy back in the day they were the $15 Mad Catz knockoffs, right?
No, but this one's been around a while. For example, Razer had one called the Kishi.
Yeah, Razer had click-ins for forever.
Just like Backbone 1. I mean, this is not new. You go on Amazon. I mean, there's a million sort of styles like this, where you have your phone stuck between two controllers.
No, it's not. But my understanding is the controller with a backbone, the backbone feels a lot better. And again, I sort of get it. If you've gamed on a bad controller, honestly, go pick up an NES controller and play on it right now and tell me it's a good. Bad controllers suck, right?
Depends what you're playing.
What? Yeah,
for things like old school Tetris, or I don't know.
I guess maybe those edges just destroy. But I think
not ergonomic.
I think the other piece though of why Backbone is working is less that it is the be all end all of controller design, although it's very good, but more that the games have gotten to a point where you actually need a controller. 3 years ago, we didn't have Call of Duty Mobile, right? We had Peggle. Doesn't really need the games are getting more intensive and demanding more of a controller experience. So, again, these industries are software led, not hardware led.
Guys, let's move on. But there's a sort of a nice segue here. This I'm actually just going to show the top of the article, which is from the Esports Observer. October's most talked about esports teams according to Twitter Gaming. Okay. Now I'm going to hide this for a second, and no cheating, you guys, because I know William and Lindsay can still see this, but without cheating, and this is for everyone listening too. What do you guys think were the most tweeted games in the US in October? What was the number one most tweeted about game in the US in October? Related to the last article we just did.
I don't want to say it because you're Call of Duty, Paul.
Right.
It's Call of Duty, right? Number one, which is interesting, right? And probably on the back of mobile strength more than anything else. What do you guys think was number two?
Among Us.
It was Among Us. Yeah. Chris got it. And number three, this one surprised me.
Roblox.
Mm-mm.
The last month?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know,
It really surprised me because I thought this one had come and gone. Let's put it that way.
Then?
Oh, Fortnite.
No.
Fall Guys. That one. Okay.
Okay, we don't know, Paul.
Number three was Animal Crossing.
Oh, it had gone.
Which
you know
was surprising for me. Like, if you look at this list,
Biden did a campaign event in it.
Oh, well, that could be why.
Yeah,
but and number one was Call of Duty. Number two was Among Us. Number three was Animal Crossing. Number four, NBA 2K, which I found is a very strong showing.
2K all day.
Probably because it just, I guess, I don't know why. New game, I guess. 5, Fortnite, which I also think was still strong. Number 6, Fall Guys, which was lower than I expected, at least in my mind. I don't know if you guys feel like.
Though I feel like
that's a big fall off, right? For a while, if you guys remember, Fall Guys,
we called it. It's not going to stick around. So, like, I don't know what you expected. Like, did you think it would stay at 1? Like,
Minecraft, then Super Mario, Final Fantasy, and finally, this was amazing to me. Zelda still on this list, right? Like the fact that Zelda is being talked about in the top 10, right? When did Breath of the Wild
don't have
come
a
out?
Logo? When is Nintendo going to give Zelda a logo?
Yeah, seriously, it does. It's the Triforce.
I know. I'm making fun of the graphic.
Cam says, "Wow, is 2K that big?" I mean, William, you'd have thoughts on why it's high up there.
The audience 2K is deceptively big. The audience for all the sports games is like large. Like, remember, like, you have to think it's like the fighting game community. It's not part of, it's not like, it oftentimes is a little siloed. It doesn't overlap. There's not a lot of League of Legends people who are then also going and becoming ultra competitive in FIFA. But yeah, also just bluntly, like 2K's been like in the 2K NBA properties have been really well managed. So, like, it's not surprised to see them growing a lot. Like, there's been a lot of investment, a lot of professionalism, and a lot of good business decisions that are building it in the zeitgeist. Plus, new title launch, right? Which is huge, right? Because anytime, remember, like, the sports games still sequel in a very different way than most other games, right? Like, it's still a huge deal when you can play this season's teams and everything. So,
the article goes on to talk about the most tweeted about esports teams in the US.
Oh, let's check it out.
Number one is obviously Oxygen.
Yep. So they're not even on the list because they took them off. It was so well known. Yeah.
It was just the gap between 1 and 2 was so large that they just didn't include it. But
yep.
I'm curious. You got. I want our listeners to guess because I truly think some of you are going to get this wrong. What is the number one most tweeted about esports team in the US?
Yeah, let the listeners guess.
In the meantime, Martin says part of Minecraft's tweets would be from the main character being put into Smash Brothers this month. That's true. But Minecraft has had tons of play from XQC and some very big streamers in the last month, which I think also has helped.
Yeah.
Number one tweeted about esports team. Cam says,
"Come on, guys."
It was not TSM, Cam. Believe it or not.
It's pronounced TSM, Cam. I'm kidding.
Lindsay, William, you guys?
FaZe. It's FaZe. Come on.
Yeah. I would have guessed FaZe.
You guys are so good. It is FaZe.
Yeah. It's not even hard.
They have the most celebrity people. It's just what it is.
Cam actually got number 2. Number 2, believe it or not, is TSM.
TSM's had a ton of huge signings recently. Doesn't surprise me at all.
I would not have guessed, but that is that is number 2. What was interesting to me is number 3, who we don't. I mean, you hear about them obviously, but like
Not a Spincer?
No. This is US.
Oh, US. Number 3, US. I'd go with NRG.
It's NRG. I'm amazed you got that, William, because that one's
because I know the team space really well. Like, I'm a team operator, so I know what's happening.
Like Cloud9, like Cam brings up a good point. Where's Cloud9?
What have they done recently? What have they won? Who have they signed? Who are their influencers? Like, this is the challenge with the team space. You have to realize
Cloud9's number 5 on the list.
Ooh.
Right, and this is arguably the most valuable esports team in the world. Right?
Well, to be fair, this is also a list of Twitter mentions, and that's not exactly like the most like, and also to be fair, like it's not sentiment weighted, right? So like people could be talking about TSM like, oh, those guys are idiots, and it would count for this. So, yeah.
Cam says, yes, TSM, yes, that is the correct pronunciation.
I'm hardcore pushing that one.
Roman says, I think it's crazy that the speedrunning community picked up Minecraft as much as it has. Roman, that's exactly. Like, I don't know how, like, XQC with 60, 70,000 people watching him speedrun Minecraft. And I never thought Minecraft was going to be the speedrun kind of game.
Total segue, guys.
No, you called it, William. I will say
I did.
Called it the rise of speedrunning, not only here, in your book, too.
Yep, I was a big believer in it. It was going to happen, and it's going to happen more. By the way, if you haven't seen it, guys, Minecraft beat in 30 seconds. Have you seen that video?
No.
What?
Single greatest optimized gameplay video of my life. So you guys should look it up. It's literally beating all of Minecraft in 30 seconds. You can watch the video, and then you can watch the explainer, which is like an hour and 15 minutes to explain frame by frame what is happening in the 30 seconds. It's unbelievable.
Roman says speedrunning is the absolute scar.
That's right.
There you go. Someone read. Oh, where's your background, William?
Oh, where's my background? Yay, where's my background? Wait, that's sharing my screen. I don't want to do that. Hold on. Here's my background. Business of Esports concept deployed.
In real life. There you go. Most popular teams, guys, globally. Number 1. Should be easy.
Oh, it's FaZe.
FaZe. Yeah.
Still FaZe. It's still FaZe.
I feel like you're trying to trick me with these guesses.
Yeah.
And number 2? Globally.
I mean, Guild's had a huge splash.
Nope.
Oh,
they don't even.
Oh, G2 then. G2.
It's G2. So I'm going to put this up if you guys are curious. So these were the top 10 in the US: FaZe, TSM, NRG, Huntsman, Cloud9, G2, 100 Thieves, Team Liquid, San Francisco Shock, Dallas Empire.
I'm surprised that Thieves is so low with their awesome video that they put out.
Yeah.
And then,
team.
Well, look, 100 Thieves to me is remarkably low. 7 in the US and not even in the top 10 globally. Right? And this is a content and lifestyle brand more than anything.
When they just started the LA Thieves, like there should have been a lot of buzz.
Can I make a point though here, which is a little bit of a risky point, but I want to scroll up to the US one because I think my point is better made in the US side, right?
Sure. Yeah.
How would you characterize these teams? Performance primary, influencer primary.
Okay. FaZe definitely influencer.
Yep.
TSM, a year ago I might have said performance. Today, I think leaning more influencer. They got Hikaru, the chess guy.
Yeah, that's true.
They have energy.
I think they're pretty clearly performance, right? Like people who perform have big followings, right?
Yeah.
But they're performance first, I would say.
Energy performance, Huntsman probably performance. Yeah. Cloud9 historically performance.
G2
performance. 100
Thieves lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then performance, right?
Basically, yeah.
Like the point I want to make here I think is interesting is tweeted about you would expect the influencer brands to disproportionately overperform here, right? Like,
True. Yeah.
You would expect, like I would expect this list to be basically like FaZe first makes sense because they're I would expect it to be like the 5 influencer led brands and then it's really interesting to note that performance is still one of the best ways of driving engagement in the space. That for all the rush to sign influencers and everything, that performance-driven brands still get market share and mind share.
I mean, that is
I don't know.
To go back to your earlier point, though, that is also contingent upon the platform you're looking at. I
Yep.
would assume that YouTube and Instagram would have way more of the influencer side.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You know what data is missing here are the absolute numbers, right? Like FaZe here could be 100 million tweets, right? And TSM, which is number 2, could be like 1 million, right? Like we don't know what the gap is here, but I'm assuming there's not that big of a gap. And I think William, your point holds that esports, like sports, winning matters.
Yeah. And
right?
that's my fear, in that you talk about some of these convergence of teams to the lifestyle brands more and more. Like, the reality is I think you need a mix. Like, TSM I would put is the best brand here, right? For everything that's happened. And the reality is they're the most mixed brand too, right? They win in some stuff. They have some great influence and other stuff. And I think it highlights the risk of being a pure play model. And I also think it underscores, if you are going to be pure play, lean on the performance side, because look, like nothing cures winning like winning, right?
Yeah. Chris says performance is fueled by the numerous esports news sites, perhaps. I mean, yeah, but I think William's point still stands, which is you get the mentions because you're winning, right? More than you get the mentions because you're popular.
Yeah.
Roman says, I feel like IG has an incredibly low turnout for gaming related channels and orgs. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Lindsay, I don't know how you feel about that, but my sense is Instagram is just poorly structured for gaming content, right?
Well, for classic gaming, yes, but for influencer type gaming, that's where I see all of the FaZe guys all the time is on Instagram. I don't see it on Twitter nearly as much.
Fair.
Twitter is much more the analytical people who care about the games kind of thing to me. Whereas Instagram and YouTube can be more of the lifestyle type of content. So I would be curious. There might be no change. That could be a wrong impression on my end, but I would be curious to see the same numbers for Instagram and YouTube.
I mean, I think most of FaZe, like the biggest channel for FaZe and the most important social outlet for a FaZe or any influencer brand is YouTube, above all else, right?
Absolutely.
Above a Twitter or an Instagram. I mean, this is a primary source of revenue. This is, what were you going to say, William? Sorry.
I just don't underestimate the power of YouTube. It's crazy how little we talk about it in the space and how important it is to the dollars that flow.
Yeah. Chris says versus organic audience chatter. I mean, they go hand in hand though, right? Like the news sites are going to report what people are talking about or what's in the news, and it gets reinforced by the audience talking about it. I don't know. I see what you're getting at, but I'm not sure you can split the two really, or that one versus the other matters. Influencer gamers are probably successful, but when I think of hardcore pros, I do not even think about checking IG to see what they're doing. Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
absolutely.
Like the more lifestyle
audience. Yeah. It's people who are more interested in the lifestyle part. I would be curious to see. I think Twitter is way more of the knowledgeable conversation that you would see, where people would care about winning and what's happening in the space, and Instagram much more of the look at what I'm eating for breakfast. I'm an interesting celebrity space.
We should do that though. We should start doing Business of Esports. What's my breakfast? Like
breakfast, Business of Esports breakfast.
Yeah.
Coffee with the Business of Esports.
You know what, Paul? We should totally try that. Like coffee 5, like coffee in 15. Like we have a cup of coffee, we drink it. When the coffee's done, we're done. Like, because that'd be pretty dope. That's my breakfast.
We should try that.
If anyone wants to know what I have in the morning, it's coffee.
Could never have guessed.
No one would know, right?
Wow.
Roman says, "Does Discord count as audience chatter?" I mean, it's definitely not counted in these numbers because these are tweets. But that's hard to measure. I don't think anyone measures that today. Like how much a team is being discussed in Discord. That's definitely not in any metrics that. like
that would be so
teams could not get that data if they wanted to, I don't think, today. And I don't know, Discord.
That would be so interesting.
You could see that as a potential revenue.
Let's look at it, Lindsay. Let's do it. Let's do a study. Lindsay and I'll do a study.
If Discord publicly shared any of their data, I would be very into doing that.
Look, I'm not familiar with Discord's API, so I don't know what is possible from a measurement standpoint. Right. But I would guess that they would not give that data away for free.
I don't think so. But a girl can dream.
Cam, our branding genius, the breakfast of esports.
Legit, esports Rise and Shine has done really well. Remember,
Cam, we're still waiting on the shirts, my friend. Come on. Let's move on, guys. Let's talk about what do we want to talk about here? We want to talk about Xbox. You guys want to talk about Xbox? Microsoft? Yes? No? William?
Sure, let's do it. I don't remember what the story is.
Are you tired of Xbox?
No, I literally never get tired of Xbox. It's the greatest name for a console ever. I could say that all day. Xbox. It's still silly.
We can talk about Mr. Beast, or we can talk about more mobile gaming stuff.
Xbox. Well, let's let the fans decide. Hey, how about this? If you have never commented before on a Business of Esports live stream, comment now. Tell us what story we should do. We will do that story.
You are really going for the engagement tonight.
I know.
Dude, shout out. I'm all about the engagement drivers. The question is, does it work? Guys, you can't leave me hanging. I know there's like 80% of you watch. Somebody type in Xbox. It's 4 keys. You can do it for me. Somebody we haven't heard from. Come on.
I thought this was the number one rule of streaming, William, is you don't call out the lurkers. You let them lurk.
Maybe you don't. Maybe that's why this isn't working.
you let them lurk, right?
I'm a total lurker too, by the way. I'm all like
you don't want Pokemon yelling at you going, William, say something.
I know you don't want her to be like, oh, you gave me $5,000. This is way too much. No.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Let's a rat fund. I don't understand.
What?
Let's talk about Xbox, guys.
Yeah, let's do Xbox.
Because the headline was catchy for me. It was Xbox exec reveals how Microsoft finally fixed the worst thing about gaming. And what they talk about here, that's evident in the first sentence, the thing that they fixed was game preservation and backwards compatibility. So in other words, being able to play older games on new hardware, right? So even if you get the new Xbox, the game you bought on the last Xbox still works. Question for you guys, 2 questions. One, do we really think that this was the worst thing about gaming? And second of all, like how major of an advantage is this in the market, do we think truly? Because Sony is not advertising this kind of backwards compatibility, or at least not to this level.
Also, how much of a hurdle was this? PCs are backwards compatible. When you buy a new PC, you're not like, oh, Microsoft Word still works? Oh my God. Like, Xbox is just a PC. Like, that's what it is. Like, how? I don't know. Anyway, sorry.
No, continue, William. So you think this is like hyperbole. This was not the biggest problem in gaming.
Well, the reason why I think originally you didn't have backwards compatibility because like truly like hardware and form factor was so different, right? So it didn't make sense to do. So fine, you didn't have it. Then you didn't have backwards compatibility because people realized, oh, wait a minute, we can get you to buy your old games again, right? Like we can re-release them, digital only copies. You'll pay to have the next gen convenience version, right? And not only that, like there's a strong incentive to move you off the old system to the new system, and it helps make a clean break, right? But I think now the reality of the situation is that the challenge of having deep launch libraries at console debut is just really difficult. And also most of the major titles, because of market sizing, have to work across generation, right? And so backwards compatibility is actually the opposite. It's to drive adoption of the new system, because most of the big games will still launch on both consoles for a year or two, and the first party exclusives will be great, but they won't be the first party exclusives of days of yore that could truly carry a systems launch. So I think this is yet another way Xbox is up on PS this generation. It's also just a necessity of how consoles launch today. It is not the same hard generational leap between iterations of a gaming set box than we used to have, and as a result, the games don't hard fork, so nor should the compatibility.
I mean, don't we think it's a bad business move, though? Right?
No,
like,
why
Sony's
not?
Kind of
It's
brilliant. No, because Sony's kind of brilliant. You own Red Dead Redemption, right? You want to play it on the new PS5? You got to buy it again. Like, so sorry, you don't get to use your old disc. Isn't that good for business? They got to spend another $60.
Yeah, in principle.
Won't buy it then if they have to spend the money again.
Because backwards compatibility, guys, is not as obvious as you think, right? Like, the consoles are closed ecosystems for the most part. They use a very specific chip running at a very specific speed, right? And games are coded to it. It's why the old consoles, like even today, if you want to play a very old game on your PC, you can't, right? You need an emulator to emulate sort of the old system and the limitations of that hardware. It's no different, right? I guarantee you the new Xbox is not running old games natively on the new Xbox. It's running in some kind of emulated environment. And so this required some work on Microsoft's part, right? They had to build this. They had to spend money to build this.
But it's also just the reality of how gamers, like, I think the market has moved on from this, because the reality is, like, what's happening? I'm in the middle of 4 games right now, right? Like 4 games, right? Like, it's not like it used to be where the publishers would hold, the console owners would hold the market quiet 4 months before launch to clear the inventory, to reset the shelves, and to allow for the relaunch of the next gen. So, like, literally, like, we're in the middle of big AAA launches that are happening. Also, the AAA launches are on everything. So what's my incentive to upgrade, right? Like, and as I said, there are supply issues early that prevent publishers from making first gen titles what they used to be, right? There's adoption issues. And so the reality is you need the backwards compatibility to ease people across the generation gap. You don't want people locked into the old systems because they're still playing games on them. And you don't want people locked into the old systems because they can just buy the same game on the older hardware, right? And backwards compatibility is a nice way of smoothing that in the interim period. I also just think the other piece of it is it cuts the other way, is when you have a native backwards compatibility like this, it makes it easier to sell the backwards compatible games to the new users. Because now if I buy an Xbox Series S and everything is emulated natively, it's very easy for me as Microsoft to sell you, what's a last gen exclusive, Assassin's Creed, whatever, Black Flag, right? Because now it's already emulated. So it's actually easier to activate the catalog. So I think publishers are waking up to the forced sales. It's actually just a bigger market if you make everything flow.
So you don't think Sony's limitation will pay off here? You don't think enough people will buy a second copy to justify, like, to make that move?
Not at all. And I go back to my second point. However incremental people they get to buy twice, they lose just as many people who never bought in the first place, but now would like to play an Xbox One game on an Xbox S, right?
Gabe says it's a scam and a money grab to not allow the games to be backwards compatible. This is why PC gang don't have to pay to access the online service and buy a game, keep it forever. This is true. Unless, Steam goes out of business and you got to rebuy everything on the Epic Game Store or something like that, but unlikely. And Roman says, why don't they make this part of Xbox Game Pass? Like having all the old games available on Xbox Game Pass, Roman? I don't know if that's what you're referring to. But I think a lot of the that's what they're doing with Game Pass. Yeah. There's a lot of the catalog, the older catalog that's on there. And technically all of them should be playable on any device that supports Game Pass, including your phone, right? Literally, you don't even need a console. Lindsay, which side are you on this? Are you Xbox, like, let's give the people what they want and what's better for the consumer, or sort of greedy Sony where, let's make them buy it again.
To me, this is kind of like if you buy a house and it has a fence or not. It's not, a fence isn't the decision between buying and not buying, but if you're a homeowner, putting in a fence costs $10,000 and you get no value back. So I think that William has a point in that there will be a large section of the population that will buy older titles and or use their current older titles and play them back. I think there might be an equal part of the population that's going to buy whatever device is their favorite one and then buy whatever games they want to play on that device, regardless of if they have playback or not. So it's a fence on a house.
So you don't think it's the deciding factor for anyone? You don't think anyone's making a purchasing decision between one console or another in this cycle based on backwards compatibility? Because that goes against essentially the headline of the article, which says hallelujah, we fixed the biggest problem with gaming, right? Which you would think would make it a landslide for Xbox.
I don't know how often people go back on consoles and play the same games over and over and over and over and over.
Yeah.
To the point where they would feel the need to have backwards compatibilities for the library that they already have. I don't know. Again, this is all based on my own assumptions, so I can't say that holds true for the entire market. But there's a reason why new games sell out, and that's because people buy them because they want to play the next one. Having backwards compatibility is great, but I don't think it's a deciding factor.
Yeah. Roman says that's what I meant. If you buy games that are cross-compatible, should they be added to your Game Pass where you can play them on any gen? I mean, that's interesting. Buying like everyone's Game Pass includes some set number of catalog games. Plus, if you buy a game, it sort of gets added to Game Pass, so you can play it across anything. It's interesting. I think it's probably where Xbox's ecosystem and Microsoft's ecosystem is going. Because if you do buy a game today that works on PC and Xbox, you buy it once and you can play it on both. That is the reality today. So they're already sort of there. Let's end, I think, guys, on this one. This is an article from Esports. It's an interesting one. And it's about, a very famous YouTuber here, Mr. Beast. The headline is, Mr. Beast confirms Beast Gaming League of Legends team is happening. The content creator said the team won't be created until at least after the upcoming season, however. And so he's tweeted that he wants to own his own League of Legends team, and that he has something in the works. And it's not clear in which region or anything like that. But it's funny. It says, since his initial post, industry voices ranging from TSM to Fnatic CEO Sam Matthews have reached out and expressed interest in collaborating with the creator, who has nearly 46 million subscribers on his main YouTube channel, right? So we've talked a lot about celebrities going and starting esports teams, right? We have David Beckham with Guild, and you have a bunch of NBA stars who have all invested. This is a pure YouTuber, right? This is a guy whose business is digital content right now to begin with, and wants to go buy an esports team. I'm curious if you guys see this as a new, I don't want to call it trend, but as a new kind of occurrence in esports, something that we should be paying attention to because it's a first, or if you think this is just more of the same, like this is no different than a David Beckham going and starting an esports team. I'm curious if you guys are looking at this as a unique occurrence or as just more of what's been happening.
Lindsay, you go first, because I don't want to jump down this one. What do you think?
I wanted to hear what Paul thought, because you have the most feelings about celebrities in the esports space. So now that it's a gaming celebrity, is it different?
So he's not really a gaming celebrity, right? He's a YouTube celebrity.
Yeah, but he does a lot of gaming on YouTube. I mean,
look, there's a simple reason why I like this better, right? The guy has 46 million captive eyeballs, right? When this is your starting point, and it hasn't, like, David Beckham, they had to pay him $20 million for whatever eyeballs he brought to the table, right? Mr. Beast here is bringing his own eyeballs, his 46 million, which I'm guessing is bigger than anything David Beckham brings to the table. And in a medium he understands, right? Video, digital, entertainment. Like, this is something he's been very successful at. I like this, right? Like, I kind of like Mr. Beast as a League of Legends team owner, right? To me, it makes more sense.
Just at least David Beckham has 65 million Instagram followers.
Does he really? Okay.
Oh, okay, Lindsay, dropping the I know real celebrity like the main. Yeah.
In my world, Mr. Beast is more important than David Beckham.
Yeah. I mean, Paul, I don't think I disagree with you here. I think this makes a ton of sense. Like, he's like the value, like it's an eyeballs business. He's known how to drive eyeballs. You know, the only risk I would say is look at that top list and how many organizations were hybrids or pure performance, right? Like, it's not just a matter, like, unless this is going to be a phase clan in a game like League that's very cutthroat, performance does matter more than other things. Like, it's not a slam dunk that just because the guy knows how to make YouTube videos, he can assemble a top roster and have them win things, and that is going to be important. I also suspect this guy is smart enough to partner with people who know how to do that, plain and simple. You know what I mean?
But here's another question for you guys, because it's the other thing that stood out for me from this article. Is this just a marketing stunt, right? Mr. Beast fundamentally made his name doing stunts, right? Like, I'm going to go and, spend $50,000 on this person's stream, or donate $100,000 on this person's stream and do a reaction video. Like, that's Mr. Beast content fundamentally.
Yeah.
It's shock value. It's like, it's stunts. It's people go, oh my God, the guy's nuts. Right? That's what he does. If he gets his way, if he gets a League of Legends team, right? And this is all about stunts and shock value, does it cheapen, kind of the perception of League of Legends esports teams? Like, because League, I would argue, is one of the most well-organized, well-respected, esports leagues on the planet.
Yeah.
Right? And they're treated like true athletes and real sports, and I would argue it has more respect than anything else. Does Mr. Beast coming in sort of cheapen the whole thing, right? This is a big marketing stunt.
Well, like I said, it depends on how he does it. If Mr. Beast comes in alongside FlyQuest, it'll be perceived as pretty legit and a huge win for FlyQuest, right? But I do think that, and I suspect what we're going to see happening is, I highly doubt this is Riot, expanding League of Legends just for Mr. Beast, right? I suspect what this is that there's going to be more content creator leagues and things that pop up to balance what I said, to leverage the fact that there are people with celebrity following, large followings, who would like to create teams, but also to balance the fact that they're probably not the best in investing long-term in the ecosystem or putting together true top-tier rosters. And more to the point, publishers don't want to risk it, because for all you know, it is a scam. Like if you think I'm putting a League of Legends as a great reaction video, can you imagine how many views it is? Lol, Riot thinks I'm starting a League of Legends squad.
Not even that. Like, I can see a Mr. Beast thumbnail. Like, I spent $9 million on a League of Legends team. That's the
exactly. Like, and it was just my cousin. Yeah, so I suspect we'll see the publishers adapt a little to allow content creators a better seat at the table without actually compromising the competitive integrity of the higher leagues,
Would you rather have someone who is more of a gaming influencer content creator who maybe cheapens the space, or would you rather have a completely uninvolved outside celebrity who has a larger following, but doesn't necessarily have the same input on building a team or controlling the roster or anything?
If they love gaming, someone in. Yeah.
I take the Mr. Beast any day.
Time, but
yeah, Paul, you would like Mr. Beast. You would like Mr. Beast.
I would, because I think esports lacks entertainment, frankly, today, right? Yeah. Like, the entertainment piece is often missing, and
that's where Zen comes in, Paul.
Yeah.
Have we learned nothing?
Yeah. Everyone go tune into then for
You'll be
all
one
your
of
gaming
14.
entertainment.
You're right. You're right. You've solved it, Lindsay.
No, what I was gonna say is there's this with Mr. Beast, right? Could we see a future where League of Legends, essentially, to William's point, creates an entirely other league called, Celebrity League of Legends, and so the owners are sort of outside celebrities, and the players are maybe just influencers, and it's not about the greatest League of Legends players, but it's more just about pure sort of entertainment and people creating videos, and it's more focused on the content creation. I don't know. I mean, Roman says, "Take care, guys. It was nice hearing some news before dinner. Take care. Have a great dinner, Roman. Thanks for coming in." And Chris says, "Has the XFL taught us nothing?"
That's a really good point. Yeah.
I
No, but it does. Like the reality is, and I've learned this the hard way. Like people only want, like, as great as it sounds, it is a sport. The sport has to hold up, and that's the risk in all of this is the XFL. And by the way, the XFL should have worked, Chris. I will go on my soapbox. I love the XFL. I think it had bad luck both times. But and I like if
now though, there's hope. There's hope. I trust the Rock.
if Vince McMahon called me up and he's like, "Hey, I'm doing the XFL a third time," I'd be like, "Oh my god, I'm in!" Like, I don't care. Third time's the charm. I know that common saying. Here we go. But yeah, I do think the risk is these people can get the eyeballs on, but the product has to be there. And like, people love watching the NBA, but hate watching middle school basketball for a reason.
Yeah, but they like the Harlem Globetrotters. There's ways of doing it that work. It just
yeah, there are. Yeah.
I cheer for those Generals every time. I don't know how they keep getting beaten.
What are we playing? Oh, I'm so excited to do what are we playing?
Cam says, "I'd rather see the leagues stay focused around the players." I mean, Cam, the problem is, does it come at the expense of entertainment? That's always the big question. But yeah, I like I said, the risk with Mr. Beast is, does it become a farce, right? Does it become kind of a sideshow focused on his, shenanigans? I think Riot's savvy enough to figure out how to avoid that. I think.
I agree. Yeah, I completely.
Guys, before we cut to what are we playing, let me just say, I just want to say two words for our listeners on our sponsor, Esports Entertainment Group. If you're interested at all in investing in esports betting, I highly recommend taking a look. It's a NASDAQ listed company, ticker symbol GMBL. They're fully regulated. They've got a lot of assets in and around gaming, esports, betting, etc. We've had a bunch of the people on for our regular listeners from Esports Entertainment Group. I highly recommend checking out the company, esportsentertainmentgroup.com. Having said that, this is not a recommendation to buy stock. Make sure you do your own research. Talk to a financial advisor if you're looking to invest. Guys, our favorite segment, William's Heart to Heart. No, none this week, William.
No. What are we playing?
What are we playing this week? Lindsay, we always start with Lindsay. Let's start with you.
Yeah, that's because I'm the least interesting. I have a very short GTA role-playing update.
Okay.
I have decided
that
I would really like to be a judge in a traffic court as my character. However, I need to first learn the skills to get into a server that's developed enough to have a traffic court that has judges. So there's some barriers, but we're going to work it out.
Okay, but the skills you need are more like acting skills. I think the audition is more acting related, right?
Yes, but I also need technical skills, and I have 0 of those.
I would really kill to see both of you doing GTA RP, like for different reasons. I think it would just be so entertaining. William, are you doing GTA RP this week too?
No, I'm actually proud I wanted to do this segment because I've been playing Ghost Runner in my spare time, and I beat it. So there's that. But then, what, Ghost Runner? You know what it is, right? We talked about it last time.
Yeah. Okay. But
then I went back and I started to try out speed running it just a little bit. just to sort of learn what it's like, because I liked the game so much. And so I'm pleased to say I have a 2-minute time on level 1 and a 5-minute time on level 2 deathless, which is
how good
not
is that
hard
relative to?
Well, speedrunning's tough, because I think like the record for the first level is like 136 or something, but like obviously
You're doing
each
it in
second
2 minutes. That's
what?
20 seconds off.
Yeah, but like each second is incrementally harder to shave off, right?
Okay.
It's like in the Olympics, like everybody kind of finishes within 5 seconds of each other in terms of swimming, but like that doesn't mean everyone's first place. So yeah.
Very cool. Cam says Risk of Rain 2. What a blast. Why are you shaking your head?
Because I hate Risk of Rain 2. I downloaded it. There was such a hype train for that game. People were like, it's amazing. And like, you gotta go play it. It's so addictive. And I downloaded it and I really tried, and I did not like Risk of Rain 2.
Wow.
Sorry,
okay.
Cam.
And Greg says Scythe board game. I don't know. I don't know this board game.
Yeah.
Scythe? Do you know, William?
Yeah, you do. It's mechs in a communist semi pseudo history. Yeah, it's a good board game.
What am I playing? Nothing last week, but you know what I am looking forward to?
The Apex map.
A new Apex map tomorrow. Or today, really. Actually, I haven't played it, but today I think it dropped, right? The new season for Apex.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
With vehicles, which is going to make Apex a much, much worse game. I don't know why they decided to do this. They really don't understand what's great about their game. Martin says, I started streaming Mirror's Edge after our discussion last week. Did you guys? Oh, yeah, we did talk about Mirror's Edge last week. Yeah. We'll have to check that out, Martin. That's it, guys. Anything else this week? Anyone listening have anything that they wanted to talk about that maybe we didn't cover? Yes, no, last chance. I would remind you guys, tune into the podcast as always. This week it may come out Friday, but as always, it's usually Thursday. Every Wednesday we're going to do these live streams, 8:30 at night, 8:30 Eastern time. Keep in mind the time change. Cam Boyd says new KDA song. It's funny because I find very few people have been, at least in my circle, talking about League of Legends finals because the time was so weird, right? Like,
yeah, the timing was tough. But remember, we're not the market, Paul. We're not like, it's like, don't be surprised if the cricket final is on UK or India time, time, like a Indian native time zone, right? Like,
I wish I could watch the cricket.
Yeah. Talk to my grandparents.
And Chris says, great show as always. Greg says, did I miss the Greg? Not this week, unfortunately. But we did promise that we were still going to do 2 more. So stay tuned for that. That's it, guys. So podcast tomorrow. Don't forget. Every week, the live stream. Don't forget. Thank you all for coming. Lindsay, thank you as always. William, thank you as always. And we will see you guys next week.
Rock on, everyone.